part of this is you have to have a culture that's going to rally around these tools and really champion them. It's going to be really hard to make these transitions if you have a bunch of change resistant, executives and team members. And so I think that's probably the only other thing is like teams need to really think critically about how they want to align their culture and get themselves to a place where they're really in an innovative mindset to go drive. And then the other thing I would say is it strongly behooves small businesses to have an action bias. Like the time is now. I wouldn't wait for, to see a few more pitches or to see how this shakes out. Like what is going to happen in every industry is companies are going to augment their workforce with AI. They're going to do more with less, and they're going to beat the companies that aren't. I'm certain of that. And so you got to build a culture where your team is innovative and driving these tools and running to change. And then you really have to have an action bias and get started. And a great way to get started is to consolidate processes and data with, tools like Salesforce and Data 360.
This podcast is brought to you by Fast Slow Motion, a team of expert consultants that have helped thousands of growing businesses build scalable systems on the HubSpot and Salesforce platforms. To learn more, visit www.fastslowmotion.com.
Welcome to the Fast Slow Motion podcast, where we teach you how to build a business you love while enjoying your life. I'm your host, Sam Donaghey, and today I'm joined by Fast Slow Motion's Director of Alliances and Partnerships, Todd Coder. And Todd is here to interview our guest, Adam Alfano. Now, Adam is the Executive Vice President of Global SMB and Emerging Products at Salesforce. Adam has spent his career helping small and mid-sized businesses adopt technology that actually creates momentum. And today we're diving into the trends he's seeing across the SMB landscape, why AI matters right now, and the advice he gives growing companies that want to scale the right way. Todd, Adam, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks again for being here. Let's just dive right into it.
Sure.
AI is obviously not just the buzz, but it is what we're working in right now. And it is the future. It is the present. But when you look across SMB specifically, how do you think AI has become such a critical unlock for those small businesses? And what are some best practices, maybe from a technical aspect, that you would recommend as businesses are starting to embrace and adopt?
It's interesting. I when we prepped and I looked at the questions, the pace things are moving right now, and I know it's maybe a little overused, is just, I've been in technology 18 years. I've seen a lot of trends, cloud, mobile, social, all those different trends. And questions that would have looked like bleeding edge 2 months ago are like, they're fully realized and answered, Todd. Like I felt like at the beginning of the year, we were trying to build momentum around the idea of AI being important to SMBs. And then we blink and 10, 11, 12 months later, it's like a part of every discussion. Customers coming in off the lead router are asking about ways Agentforce can help their business. And it's very well articulated now, which I think is just really cool to see how that pace has really happened for SMBs. And look, I think the promise of AI specifically for small businesses is really exciting because small businesses are always trying to do more with less. They're always a little more under-resourced. They're always trying to punch up and look and operate a little bigger than they are. And what better way to do that than an infinite workforce with omniscient understanding of data to help your overtaxed humans wearing a million different hats in these startups and entrepreneurial companies and small businesses do way more. And that's really what we're seeing. I mean, it's just incredible. Now, you talk about like the trends and how it's manifesting. You can pull this thread a little bit as we continue, but I'm seeing a couple things. Like, namely, I think the average company we're talking to is starting to come with a little better idea of how they may use this stuff. It was almost like we were in use case ideation a year and a half ago, and now we're a little more in execution. But I think the other thing that's really well understood is that you can't have great AI without great data and great processes. And so we're seeing a real recommitment to a lot of our core properties, right? People building really good processes in Sales Cloud and Service Cloud and Marketing Cloud and using Data Cloud to unify their data so that agent can sit on top with good process articulation, good governance and security, and drive outcomes where it's directly connected to human workers. And I think that that's a real advantage for us. And we've really seen that start to accelerate over the last year. It's just amazing.
And it seems to me that Data Cloud and Agentforce are almost synonymous moving forward. You have to have Data Cloud to get that data clean and to synchronize it the right way. What's been your number one objection from customers thus far in terms of activating and going live? Is it fear of unclean data? And if so, what is your response to that?
I think there's a couple different things there. Like when we launched Agentforce, and since we've launched Agentforce, the setup has, and you can say the same for Data Cloud, the setup has become significantly easier, way more accessible for small businesses, and it gets easier with every release. You look what's coming with Agent Builder, and Data Cloud's become a lot more easy to use. And then the pricing's become a lot less complex. And I think that maybe early on we were trying to figure out exactly how to do that. So that removed a couple barriers. I think often once an agent's built, there's a little bit of this like leap of faith that needs to be taken. And I don't think it's a leap of faith, but this feeling of like, okay, we're going to unleash this thing. It's going to change a bit. And I think what we need to help customers with is, I'm someone who's launched a bunch of agents in their business, right? We talk a lot about the SDR agent and our sales agent that's helping our reps. And I've hired 1,000 people this year, Todd, and their productivity is going up because our sales agent's really helping with their processes. And now we're going after leads while we sleep with the sales agent. But we had to invest time and train these agents. It's incredible technology. It's magical technology, but it's not magic. You're taking on a digital employee. You have to think about, and you do this for companies all the time, the processes they're going to take on. You have to tune them. You have to train them. You have to continue to dig into the data and refine them. And so I think that's maybe part of it that becomes a bit of a barrier at the finish line, that we're trying to figure out how to get better at helping customers. And obviously one way is like getting FDEs in where we can, and our activation engineers to really work alongside the customers to set these things up. The amazing thing about this is the technology gets smarter and easier with every release. So it's taken down barriers like crazy.
Yeah, that's great. And I love your comment of it's magical, but it's not magic. That's great.
Yeah.
Looking ahead, so we're in the throes of it right now. It's changing every day, right? So it is going to continue to change at this rate for a while. But what excites you the most, or what do you see coming down the pike in terms of how AI can revolutionize what we're doing in the SMB space?
Well, I just think companies are going to scale to incredible sizes with fewer humans that are doing more impactful work. And I think, I'm not trying to be pedantic and just repeat myself, but I think you're going to have workers that are happier because we're taking a lot of the arduous and monotonous tasks off their plate. I think you're going to have customers that are happier because they're getting real-time answers. And I think you're going to have companies, you're going to see SMBs, small companies with 50, 100 employees with multi-billion-dollar revenue streams with digital workers. I believe that's coming in the reasonably near future. And I also think, and the data would support this, you're going to see a lot more small businesses in general fostered out of the ability to handle processes and scale with agents and autonomous labor and AI. So I think that that's all very exciting. Again, I think as these tools get easier, they become more democratized. You think about Agentforce vibes and the ability to vibe code your way through administration. Now you don't need, a team of data analysts and agents to roll this out. It's a lot easier. And I think that continues to grow. And then, what's going on around us, there's all this incredible technology that you get to take great reference from. I remember the first time I built something on Cursor and I was like, oh, wow, it was probably, a year and a half ago. And this is like a new portal that's opened, and these models keep getting smarter and faster and cheaper. So all this stuff culminates into just tools that are more accessible for SMBs to execute with. And I think that's an exciting promise that we're delivering on.
Shifting gears just a bit to the importance of SMBs in the global economy. And you've been championing SMB success for a long time, been at Salesforce coming up on almost 2 decades. In your view, how essential are SMBs in the global economy in driving innovation worldwide?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about, even just looking at the US, millions of companies. You're talking about the foundation of the economy when it really comes down to it. But you're also talking about the part of the economy where we really see innovation foster. And not only is it critical that SMBs have success to kind of stabilize and grow GDPs all over the world, but it's also the place where this technology is going to be probably utilized the fastest. And you're going to see companies take on these edge cases and really change the paradigm of the way we're using tools and scaling companies and creating businesses. That's a really, probably one of the most exciting things about working with these customers is they're not as shackled by legacy processes and old systems and dogmatic ways of doing things, and often maybe have like a little less regulatory implications depending on the industry and things like that. So we're seeing companies really go fast and kind of redefine what's possible with technology. And I think SMBs across the country wear that as like a badge of honor, right? That they're going to be, we're going to see an SMB probably be the first agentic bank, and an SMB probably become the first truly agentic healthcare company, and so on and so forth. And it's just a really, really, really incredible opportunity.
Yeah, it's that battleground where things are figured out. And it's also the ability to be the lifeblood of the economy, locally, regionally, and nationally and globally. So when you look at the companies that are thriving right now, what are they doing maybe that other companies are not? What type of priorities do they have over other companies?
Well, I think it's, again, maybe also a little overused term, but an AI first mindset. I mean, there's a great story about a customer called Mimit Health, Dr. Romy Chopra, and he's a clinician, he's a surgeon. And in his clinic, he's had an AI first mindset on how they're onboarding patients and doing prep and driving administration. It's taken millions of dollars of cost out of his business. I think about another company like 1-800-Accountant who took an AI first mindset to how they were helping their customers onboard their tax returns and drive through the process and consolidate the data. And I mean, those are two of many stories. We're an example as well, but we're in a time now where it behooves every administrator, IT professional, sales professional, service professional, executive to look at every process and say, hey, is there a better way to do this? How can I disintermediate this with tools that can take on some of this work and free up my people to spend more time with customers, with patients, with clients? And so I don't think you can overstate that AI first mindset. I think the other thing is I think this is something that's gotten a lot more obvious and better as we use ChatGPT every day. It's like the first place we run when a person in the house is sick or whatever. I mean, maybe that's a bad thing to say, but I think it's true of a lot of us. It's like you just have to go use these tools and really understand them, use them personally, use them professionally. And I think it just unlocks a little deeper level of understanding as you get creative and start to ideate. So those are a couple things I think about, but it's really, if you have an AI first mindset and you're really thinking critically about what you're doing, odds are pretty good that you'll come up with solutions that accelerate your business right now. And that's what we're all looking for.
Yeah, I think that's key too, not just professionally, but personally, right? So if you get used to it, comfortable with using AI in your personal life, like when someone's home at sick or homesick from work, and you've got the opportunity to utilize it on a personal level, then you're more apt to utilize it on a professional scale.
Yeah, I just think it's like a fluency thing, right? I think the more you can understand this tech, go try out Lovable or Cursor or Replit, all these great vibe coding tools, and use all the different models, Gemini, Perplexity, ChatGPT. They all do amazing things. Grok is amazing. And I think that's kind of my goal, is just to dig in and understand the new releases. And it helps me translate what we're going to do even with our tools.
So specifically Salesforce SMB in that segment, it seems to me that there's recently been a larger emphasis and focus on the SMB segment at Salesforce. Additional resources, funding, the Restart and Boost program are examples of that from last year. Moving into FY27, can you unpack a little bit, maybe the genesis of that, and then what we can look forward to moving forward?
Yeah. Well, I came into this part of our company about 20 months ago or something like that, maybe a little more, 22 months ago. So it's been almost 2 years. And certainly the edict is we want to make a big investment here. I don't know that there was ever a time where we didn't want to make sure we were doing well by these customers, but I think as we've gotten the opportunity to work with SMBs on driving these AI and data projects and kind of taking a real focus on this market, we've gotten some clarity on the things we can do to invest to help folks get to better outcomes. And you nailed it, like getting people set up more quickly. Those quick starts sure make a big impact when we can fund those and use them. Getting a better support model for our customers, getting our activation engineers that'll go put hands on and help our customers get set up. We're just trying to spend a lot of time to understand the dynamics of this market. And I think you nailed it. We just see a huge opportunity. I mean, we're seeing great growth here. I think there's never been a better time for our platform. There was maybe a time where we were viewed as more of an enterprise offering, and maybe SMBs thought, hey, maybe there's still some that's a little too big for me, or that thing's going to be complicated. But I think in this world of agentic execution, really our platforms become the operating system for front office agents. I truly believe that. I talked to a lot of the AI agent companies that would agree with me on that. So I think even small businesses are starting to understand, hey, I got to go get that great foundation with Salesforce so that I can build these tools to help me scale. And we see the opportunity. So we're trying to focus with all the resources we can. And as I said before, like the beauty of this is setup and maintenance and execution is only going to get easier when you think about, natural language driving outcomes in these systems. It's very, very exciting.
So to that point, Adam, what advice would you give to an SMB business owner or leader who wants to build a resilient, scalable operation over the next decade, taking into account what you just said, right? And reducing tech stacks and consolidating everything onto one platform, AI first mentality. What else outside of those key components?
Well, besides the things we've talked about, I think you can feel it's very perceptive when you walk into a company. It doesn't matter what the industry is. Could be manufacturing, could be high tech, could be whatever. And you can see that they've taken sort of the cultural leap to driving this innovation and really taking that AI first mindset. Kyle Norton, the CRO of Owner, I did his podcast. He talks about this a lot in terms of how they actually institutionalize an AI first mindset. Part of this is you have to have a culture that's going to rally around these tools and really champion them. It's going to be really hard to make these transitions if you have a bunch of change resistant, executives and team members. And so I think that's probably the only other thing is like teams need to really think critically about how they want to align their culture and get themselves to a place where they're really in an innovative mindset to go drive. And then the other thing I would say is it strongly behooves small businesses to have an action bias. Like the time is now. I wouldn't wait for, to see a few more pitches or to see how this shakes out. Like what is going to happen in every industry is companies are going to augment their workforce with AI. They're going to do more with less, and they're going to beat the companies that aren't. I'm certain of that. And so you got to build a culture where your team is innovative and driving these tools and running to change. And then you really have to have an action bias and get started. And a great way to get started is to consolidate processes and data with, tools like Salesforce and Data 360. That's a great way to get your foundation set. And then driving those agents on top is becoming pretty easy as somebody using them. So, obviously I'm biased, but I think that's what a lot of customers are doing to drive success.
So what can Salesforce and Salesforce partners do to help encourage adoption? Adoption's always been an issue for sales teams, not wanting to get on platform and keep a record of what they're doing. But taking this a step further with Agentforce, what can we be doing as partners, and what does Salesforce bring to the table in terms of that training to encourage adoption?
Yeah, look, I think one of the things that I'm trying to do is show folks what we're doing with Agentforce. Some incredible tools, that and Slackbot, which I know we're really excited about, and just tell our story of how we drove the change. But I think for our partners, the beautiful thing about this is like the adoption that was always a challenge was getting salespeople to update stuff. And now that's not so much of a problem because the system's going to do most of that for you. So you think about getting good conversational insights with Einstein conversations and having the automated administration off of transcripts and all the different things that can happen that are taking administration away so folks just spend more time selling and the system's giving them more intelligence. The beautiful thing about agents is it's going to add value to salespeople without them having to look hard for it, right? The sales agent for my team is giving great point of views on customers and breakdowns and giving them sequences and collateral to go take to customers to sell more. And they're not having to look around to get it. It's right within their application. Or right within Slack. So I think that's a big part of it, is just building the system in a way that all this stuff's automated, where you don't even really have to ask for adoption because it's just going to be a part of the workflow. That's more possible than ever now.
Great point. Okay. One last question. Other than Agentforce and AI, what do we have to look forward to from Salesforce in FY27?
Well, we announced an acquisition of Qualified. I think it's the best SDR agent on the planet. Incredible team. We're so excited about it. You think about Qualified as the inbound SDR that can handle traffic off the web and create an incredible experience with qualified leads. And then from there, our current more outbound agent that I'm using can take over and be that engagement agent. I think it's just going to be such a great value add. We're very excited about that. There's just more and more coming with Slack. I mean, Slackbot is going to blow our customers away. It goes GA in a couple of weeks. And it is, I was talking to the gentleman that runs Europe for me, and he was sharing all the things he's doing with Slackbot and Agentforce to get underneath deals and support his team and get great real-time insights. So we're very, very excited about that. And I think the other thing is just, SMBs need this thing to be easy to use. That's the key for them. And that's the unlock that I really think just gets better with every release. And next year is going to be a pivotal one for us, where you're not only going to see all these tools get smarter, you're going to see them all get way easier. You're going to see Slack and our CRM tools really converge, and the ability to drive conversational outcomes via Slack into the CRM. I mean, a lot to look forward to, Todd, and we're excited to help our customers through every step of it.
That's great. It's an exciting time, and we're very excited to be a part of it.
Well, yeah, thanks for your partnership. I mean, I know you're working with a lot of these customers, helping them get set up. You're helping them make sure they have long-term success. Do you have any advice for us?
Just keep doing what you're doing. Everything that you said for FY27 sounds incredible, and the ability to bring the products to the table and make them easier to utilize is really, I think, the hurdle that we face with a lot of our customers. So having the ability to make life easier while revolutionizing the way that they do business is a game changer for everybody involved.
Well, it's been a lot of fun. I appreciate the thoughtful questions, and you can see I'm fired up. It's really the most exciting tectonic shift I've seen in technology in my almost 20 years. And it's exciting because it's having the biggest impact on our customers. So we're thrilled to help. We'll lean in any way we can. It's something we all got to do together, as you well know. And my team is ready across the globe to lean in with every small business customer and make sure they're driving a ton of success with these tools.
I love it. It's going to be fun. Thanks so much, Adam.
All right. My pleasure.
Well, gents, this has been such a fantastic conversation. Adam, before we close, we always like to ask our guests to leave us with a quote or a piece of advice that's been meaningful to them. So what comes to mind for you, would you say?
Yeah, at risk of sounding like I'm going to pander, I'm actually going to quote our founder and CEO, Mark Benioff, who said, "Business is the greatest platform for change." He's said it many, many times. But the reason I'm picking that one is, look, I think with AI, we're fascinated by the technology. We're fascinated by the pace of change. But what we can't leave behind is like the impact we all need to make as businesses, and kind of stay focused on the real purpose here, which is like leaving the world a better place than we found it. And I actually think if we get it right with AI, the odds are pretty good that that's actually going to improve. I know there's a lot of folks that are maybe worried about that in some way, but I think keeping in mind that, on our team, that our job is to help our customers have more success, to lean in with our communities, and again, try to leave them a little better than we found them. And so that notion of like business is the greatest platform for change, I think is like never been more true than right now. I hope I got the quote right. I'll have to look after, but I'm paraphrasing. But that one is, I just think it's a great time to remind ourselves of that and kind of stay focused on the bigger picture and not too lost in the technology. I think if we do that, we'll have great results.
Fantastic. Well, that's a wrap on today's episode of the Fast Slow Motion podcast. A massive thank you to Adam Alfano for joining us and sharing his insights. As always, you can catch past episodes at fastslowmotion.com/podcast, or you can subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. And if you've got any questions or topics that you'd like us to cover, you can drop us a note at fastslowmotion.com/podcast feedback. We'll see you again next time.